nightmare.
Hello and welcome to Cinema Subculture, where we discuss everything strange, obscure and downright messed up in the world of movies. My name's Gary.
And I'm Simon. So Gary, what are we looking at today?
Today we're going to look at The Child from 1977, directed by Robert Viskanian.
And do you have a synopsis for this one, Gary? Can you tell us what the hell's going on?
What is what the hell is going on in this movie? That's a good question.
Yeah.
So a young woman returns to her hometown to take a job as a nanny. But the child of the title seems to be a little bit unusual, should we say? Got some unusual friends, you might say.
Yes, you might say. Say, Gary.
Those friends that hang out in the graveyard?
Yes.
Those kind of people?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Aye.
Yeah, that's all seems accurate. Now, Gary, I don't know if I had never heard of this film before. On trying to research this film a little bit, I couldn't find very much out there about it. Really, I couldn't find really even anyone else's opinions. Videos, people talking about it, nothing like that. How did you come across this?
So it was a film that was on the Section 3 Video Nasties list.
Right.
The list of titles that were potentially going to be prosecuted, the sort of under suspicion titles, but ones that weren't sort of official Video Nasties. So I knew it from there. There's a great documentary by Jake West that looks at the Video Nasty period, and it's talked about on there. They do a thing where they do these mini reviews on that DVD set, and Stephen Thrower, the British critic who's written books about this type of stuff and turns up in a lot of Arrow video stuff, he was quite a big fan of it. Right. And Arrow Video released it as part of the American Horror Project sets.
Right. Okay.
Part 2 that Stephen Thrower was involved in curating. So this is on the second one of those. So yeah, I heard him talking about it and I thought, yeah, that looks pretty weird. I think worth checking out. But yeah, you're right. It is a kind of weird, not lost film, but it's a one-time director. It's just this kind of thing that kind of came out, a kind of unique artifact of sort of non-Hollywood American cinema, and it's just this kind of weird thing. It's like, yeah, how did that even come to be conceived?
Yeah,
it's so unusual.
Man, I'm not going to lie to you. We've watched some difficult to watch films,
right?
For the podcast and over the years. But man, this one was rubbing me up the wrong way. So I will not lie to you.
Right.
Everything about it, I see everything. The biggest thing about it was the sound design, and the film's obviously overdubbed the whole way through, right? Which I take issue with. There's a credit that comes up right at the end, and it's quite prominent, and it's very much it's like sound by this guy and boom operator, and I'm like, fuck off. There's no way. Shut up. But the thing that really stood out to me initially. So right, the opening. I was quite in with that. I'm watching it and I'm quite liking the feeling of it, and the kind of it's feeling to me it felt like a silent movie almost, right? I think I wish it had been, right? Because there's something about the music editing that was, other than the opening, which I thought was quite atmospheric and I quite liked the feel of, actually reminded me of. Did you ever watch Are You Afraid of the Dark? Did you ever see that?
On Nickelodeon.
Yeah. So
right,
the opening to that, I actually went when I was watching it, I'm like, that music really reminds me of that. The opening, as it's almost the same notes. But anyway, so outside of that, once it started, it's like the way the music would start and stop and then ramp down and then loop at certain bits. It wasn't creating, to me, it wasn't creating an atmosphere of like an uneasy horror film. It just felt like a poorly made soundtrack to a film that was just, I was just like, oh, it really pissed me off, to be honest with you. I really didn't enjoy watching this film, which yeah, it was a shame because there's some things we can talk about near the end that I quite liked, but I really did even just the look of it, as I say, some of the you know, the actions and the way it was shot, it really did put me in mind of like, this looks like a modern silent film almost, you know what I mean? It should be no music, well, not no music, but you know what I mean, a played along soundtrack, which is kind of what they were trying to do, or
right,
it had that kind of that piano playing something, but it was very constant and very, I don't know, disheveled and all over the place to me. I mean, what did you think of this film? That's your favorite film, yeah?
It went straight to the top of my best films list. No, I actually think it's a film, I kind of like it. It's a film with some kind of unique ideas and a unique style. It's got nuggets of quality wrapped up in kind of like a clumsy technique that kind of becomes overbearing, and sort of the negatives of the film sort of outweigh the good stuff. But I think what I kind of like.
Sorry, I was just going. Sorry to interrupt, Gary. I just wanted to kind of like, so we chatted about this film. Let me just find this. How was it you described it to me when we were chatting about it? You'd watched it before I'd seen it. I'm just trying to remember how you described it to me. You described it as it's about a kid with telekinesis who is pals with these mad zombies. That sounded really good to me. That's really interesting and intriguing. And I think the premise of the film on the whole is a pretty cool and a very kind of the time, you know, synopsis for a film. But sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but
Aye.
I had to say that because you missold this, Gary. You couldn't be in charge of this, selling the tickets to this film.
Yeah, it's true exploitation style. Sold you a ticket there, and you're like, "What? This is not a film I paid to see."
Somebody call the BBFC.
Yeah, so directed by Robert Vaskanian, who was born in Iran,
Right.
and on the title it says a film by Robert Vaskanian and Robert Dadashian, who is also, I think he was Armenian. So they both went to film school in America. Right. So they were both sort of like foreign, but working. They were film students in America, and then decided to make a feature inspired by Night of the Living Dead, which film takes quite so that maybe imply that, you know, that's maybe why it's so unusual in a way, the sort of like different cultures coming together. But I think what I kind of like about films of this ilk, you know, the So Bad It's Good, the films made outside the system, is when you get unintentional bad technique, or bad technique that's a symptom of circumstance, and how that sometimes can, you know, culminate in a film that has its own kind of unique film grammar, and it has its own sort of idiosyncrasy. And it's good when you find a film like that and it's just like a gem, it's like a diamond in the rough. And I think, see, when this film is clicking, it's like, yes. But those moments are kind of few and far between. I think this film is really good. It's got a certain style and a mood, and the mood is fog with a Dutch angle or some shaky handheld camera and like a squelchy synth. And there are sections in this movie that are like, yes, this is like cool. This is like a unique vision, whether it was intentional or not. But yeah, there's no doubt the film gets lost in sort of languid pacing. The sound is significantly bad.
Yeah, and to be clear, yeah, as I think I've said already, but it's nothing to do with the dubbing. It's like there are moments that the dubbing, like for example, in the last kind of, the ending, the epic ending, there's a lot of screaming going on that kind of it just kind of was, it felt really detached from the picture, if you know what I mean. It took me out of it a little bit, and there's like certain periods of time when there's like laughter that goes on for like uncomfortably long, but those are all things I kind of don't mind in film. I can deal with that, because it kind of, sometimes it's there for for a reason, as you say, there's intention behind it, but it was really, for me, it was really the music, and right up to the closing credits. When there's like a kind of, I think it's not necessarily music, but it's like some sort of sound effect, but then it loops, and it loops at a weird place, and it was just like, that way, it's just like everything about my being was just like, this is like, no, let's stop. Like, just like, don't loop it there, loop it somewhere, I don't know, you know what I mean. It just felt very broken in places, which it's a shame, because I think like you could probably watch this in silence with subtitles or something like that, and get more from it. I really do think that. I think, I mean, sound's so important, and I think, as I say, it's more the sound design rather than the dubbing. The dubbing, I can, cool. It doesn't really faze me. What interesting you said about Night of the Living Dead, because I really did get that feeling in the kind of the finale. I really was getting that kind of that sense. But the finale, even that went on for ages, eh? That was a lot. It was like, I looked up, we got to the shack near the end. We can go back, but like, we got to that shack at the end, and I was like, all right, this must be 10 minutes or something to go here. Bearing in mind I wasn't enjoying it that much, and I'm like, come on, it's only an 80 odd minute,
83 minutes,
right? Oh man, honestly, I was I was in, and I'm thinking, oh, I must be about halfway through, and it was like 36 minutes in, and I'm like, oh, geez. But so they get to that shack, and I'm looking at the time, and I pulls up time, I'm like, it's got 20 minutes to go here.
Right.
How is this? What's happening? And I'm like, I wonder what's going to happen, that way. And then, like, no, nothing happens. Your man finds a shell, but that means it was in the gun already. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm just shitting on this bit. Like, really, they just rubbed me the wrong way. But
apparently, they had so little money. What they would shoot scenes, so it's made over a period of 3 years. Shot,
right.
But they had to shoot, and then they didn't have enough money to develop the film, so they would just hang on to the film for ages. So I think that kind of explains a lot of the weirdness of the cinematography, because the editing is all over the fucking place, isn't it? It's crazy, because like sometimes you've got no master, it seems. It's just like cutting straight in. Sometimes you've only got a master. There's one scene where Alicia Ann and the character of Len, who is a love interest in the son and brother of Rosalie, and you've just got them walking, but it's just this like really shot in a long shot. But it doesn't cut in. It's just them having a conversation, but it doesn't cut into their faces. And then you have scenes where it starts wide, cuts in, then cuts back out, but just like randomly, as if like they said they only had the shots they had. I don't know, they just didn't shoot enough coverage or stuff like that.
But stitch two good takes together or something,
And I think generally I like things that break the rules of filmmaking, but I think it doesn't really work in the end, because it's just too it disengages the audience, all the mad cutting. But I
think that comes down to intention. I think, because I don't think it's intentional is the problem.
So it's a matter of it was produced in a certain way independently for no money, and fits and starts. And I quite like how, what's on the screen is a reflection of that. And like I was saying, sometimes you get a gem that it just somehow works.
Mhm.
It breaks rules. It shouldn't really come together, but it's a thing. Whereas this has that in places, but yeah,
I mean,
ultimately
yeah,
a lot of the kind of basic technique lets it down, I think.
yeah, because I'm thinking, like, we're chatting about Phantasm. We chatted not the same type of, I don't know about the budgetary constraint and things like that, but the way it was shot over weekends and things like that, quite kind of piecemeal in certain ways, and that led to that having a certain kind of, lots of small pieces stitched together kind of feel in the end, even though it had a nice overall story or arc, and kind of feel to the full film. It's interesting to see this, and I do think that the parallels could be drawn between the two if it weren't for the music and sound design. I really do think that that's something you can't say about Phantasm, for example. And I think I really do. I do think another pass on the music would have saved a lot of this film for me, and made it at least maybe let me enjoy more of those bits you're talking about, because I mean there is some really good stuff in there. I really do like the even as in the opening scene when you see the hand coming up from behind the headstone, and I like the interaction with the dad and the daughter. There's lots of good stuff there, and the performances seem pretty good, like in a lot of the cases. I mean, one thing I thought was quite interesting was, because this is, well, obviously you're taking inspiration from Night of the Living Dead, and I was thinking about, it's 1977, so there's a lot of kind of zombie stuff out there, but they managed to come up with quite a unique kind of looking zombie. I thought it wasn't like a standard zombie. It almost looked like something from Cannibal Holocaust or something like that.
I actually love
bit.
the zombies in this.
Yeah, that was one of the things that positive I can say. I really liked it, because it was like, I guess I was expecting to see one thing, and then it was just like, oh, what's this? This is kind of weird. Although, was there some bit where they had bags in their heads? Was it when they were in the cupboard, like, or was that just like a prop?
Yeah, it seems like Rosalie was also able to control a scarecrow. I think there's a scarecrow and sort of these zombies.
But yeah, the zombie design is really, I think, is really quite interesting, and it's nice. It's refreshing, and I say it's,
They looked kind of like sort of something out of Marilyn Manson video, kind of crusty techno goths or something. And they did this kind of mad dance. They kind of nodded their head. I think the scene where they attack the car is really good.
Even just seeing them coming down into that little kind of quarry bit where the shack is at the end.
Yeah.
I thought the shot was really cool, and really kind of evoked Night of the Living Dead, but looked different because of the design of these zombies.
I think it's maybe once there's too much zombie, it kind of goes overboard. It's kind of like a don't show the shark type of deal.
Yeah.
Because once they're really up there on the camera, they do look quite cheap. But I think when they're just kind of working in the background, it's actually quite effective. But yeah. I think we should talk about the narrative a wee bit, because that's one of the strengths in the sense that it's a film that's sort of like a bad child, troubled child type of movie that sort of has parallels. But I think the uniqueness is the sense that so Rosalie is friends with zombies that work in a graveyard where her mother is buried, and she sort of sacrifices cats to them, and she offers them to do tasks for her, to enact certain acts of revenge, which is pretty bizarre. I don't think can think of anything like it.
No, you're right. I mean, so to me, it was implied that the mother seemed to have some sort of connection to these zombies as well, potentially, or I mean, she was getting revenge on these people for apparently the death of her mother, who she blamed for it. But I mean, and then it was like, in dialogue, it's discussed that the mother was killed by some homeless people or something? Is that
Yeah, it's never really explained.
bugged?
She seems to blame everyone for the death,
Right. Okay.
including her father,
Yeah.
and also possibly some tramp that live
Yeah.
around there. But I think it's also notable that remember at the start, Mrs. Whitfield says she used to have borders.
Yes.
I used to have borders. But it's
Right.
implied that the zombies are the borders because the Alicia Ann character goes, "What did happen to all your borders? The woods made them nervous." So they just went into the woods and became zombies.
Oh, see, I thought it was I thought it was more implied that they had been eaten by the zombies, or killed by the zombies.
Right.
No.
Well, I think Rosalie definitely had something to do with
Right.
it.
Oh, aye, yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so it's a bit of a shame in the sense that that's quite a very unusual piece of plot, but the sort of structure around it doesn't, enable it to sort of blossom as it might do, which is a bit of a shame. So are you trying to tell me you won't be rewatching The Child?
No fucking help it. And I've been recommending everyone to not watch it. Remember how I'm always saying I'm not for censorship? Well, fuck that. No, it's not. It was. I did find it almost painful to watch. I'm not going to lie. I think the sound design was just. Again, I think it comes down to intention, perhaps, but it just was so overwhelming and too loud in places. I felt. And even like when there was stuff. I'm trying to remember. So when Rosalie was at the cemetery and she was hearing a voice, was that after her mum died?
Yeah,
and I'm like, I couldn't even make out what that was saying,
yeah, that's a problem. Yeah.
So to me, I don't know this. Yeah, no. As I say, we've watched many a film that was not difficult to watch because it was badly made, but just because of content, or sometimes it was difficult, intentionally made difficult for people to watch. Or you could say that, but I've never kind of wanted to really turn anything off as quickly as I wanted to turn this off. I don't think I don't know. It just really it just caught me in maybe the wrong moment, but I certainly didn't enjoy it.
Right. Okay.
As I say, other than the design of the zombies and the kind of rather unique, again the plot, the actual plot of it, I thought I was going to enjoy it. I think it was just the execution of it. So what was your thoughts on it? Is it you're going to be watching this every Christmas or something?
Well, that's a good marker of a film. Like, would you watch it again, or how soon? I think I was thinking about that. I could conceivably watch it again. I wouldn't say never. I'm not in a hurry to rewatch it. I've seen it twice now. But I still have a fondness for it in the sense that when it's working, it's got something. But it's just a shame that those moments are just too brief and sort of intermittent. But I've got a fondness for it just because I like this type of weirdo, kind of off the grid cinema. It's kind of up my street. So yeah, if you're wanting a film that's got fog, Dutch angles, and mad synth, I think this maybe is your type of movie.
It's probably no. Probably no. No, because I like mad synth. And I like zombies and I like fog. And these are unique zombies, but
Right.
if you don't listen to Gary. He knows what he's talking about most of the time.
Right.
But, you know what? Do what you want. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not your mother.
Yeah. So it's a film, some good ideas, sort of badly executed. But if you want to give it the benefit of doubt, I think it's worth a watch just to see it once. See, that's quite a unique thing.
Yeah.
So you've been listening to Cinema Subculture. If you'd like more of this content, make sure you've subscribed on YouTube, like the video and hit the notification bell.
Thanks for listening. I've been Simon.
I've been Gary.
I have friends. They like me.
It was a nightmare.
These kind of movies, so bad it's good style, they're a bit thinner.
Yeah, if this was one of those, that would probably be a thing you could say.
Right.
It's just so bad.
Right.
It's not so bad. It's good. What are you talking about?